I was on the verge of giving up everything. My 342 subscribers would never earn me a dime. That's what I believed, and that thought gnawed at me a little more each night. In this video, I'm not going to give you a list of generic tips. I'm going to tell you my story, the story of a colossal failure that transformed into my greatest lesson. I'm going to show you how, starting from scratch, with an audience everyone would call tiny, I found the key to not only continue my passion but to fund it. Stick around until the end, because the turning point in my story, that precise moment when everything changed, is a lesson you won't find in any book. Chapter 1: The Costly Passion. My world was dioramas. Miniature worlds, fantastical scenes that I spent dozens, sometimes hundreds, of hours building. Every synthetic blade of grass, every hand-painted pebble, every tiny figurine was a piece of me. I filmed it all with my old phone, balanced on a stack of books. My videos were raw, poorly lit, but they oozed passion. And I had my small tribe. 342 people. Not 342,000, no. 342. I knew almost all their usernames. They commented, asked questions, encouraged me. They were my driving force. But that engine was running on empty. The materials, the resin, the quality paints, the precision tools, all of it came at a cost. A cost my salary at the time could barely cover. Every diorama I finished was a small creative victory, but also a new hole in my budget. I loved my community, but love didn't pay the bills for my material supplier. Chapter 2: The False Promise. Frustration slowly began to creep in. I spent my evenings scrolling through the profiles of successful creators. Millions of subscribers, partnerships with major brands, logos everywhere. They were making it work. I started analyzing them, dissecting their strategies. Their videos were polished, dynamic, with trending music and ultra-fast editing. Their topics were broad, mass market. They talked about productivity, viral challenges, top 10 lists. And there I was, with my little bits of plastic and flocked foam. I started to hate myself, to find my passion ridiculous, insignificant. A small voice in my head told me, no one cares about this. To succeed, you have to do what they do. You have to go broader, more mainstream. It was the beginning of the end, or at least, that's what I thought at the time. Comparison was a slow poison that was slowly killing my creativity. Chapter 3: Loss of Identity. So, I tried. I put away my dioramas and tried to play the game. I made a video on my 5 tips for staying creative. It was awful. I was spouting cliches I'd read on a blog. I didn't even believe it myself. My tone was fake, my energy forced. The result was immediate. Comments from my small tribe became scarcer. A few of my most loyal subscribers even left perplexed messages, "It's nice, but where are the creations? That's what we love about you." I lost about 10 subscribers that month. It might seem ridiculous, 10 people, but when you only have 342, that's huge. It was like my little village was emptying out. I had betrayed the only thing that mattered, the authenticity that bound us together. I had become a pale imitation of what I thought I should be, and I had lost what made me unique. Tension was at an all-time high. I was about to delete everything, put away my tools for good, and accept that my passion would remain a costly, solitary hobby. But that's not all, because it was precisely then, at my lowest point, that the light appeared. Chapter 4: The Comment That Changed Everything. I was disheartened. I posted one last photo, a detailed view of a diorama I was working on before my existential crisis. It was an ancient tree, with incredibly realistic moss on its roots. In the caption, I put something vague and melancholic, like returning to my roots. I expected a few pity likes, nothing more. And then, a comment appeared. It was from Ludo_Miniatures, one of my very first subscribers, someone who had commented on almost every post since the beginning. His message wasn't a typical encouragement. It was a question. A very specific question. He said, "Hey, that moss texture is incredible. I've been trying to get the same effect for weeks without success. Could you show me how you did it? Seriously, I'd pay to learn your technique." I reread that sentence 10 times. I'd pay to learn your technique. It was an electric shock. A real jolt. I was spending my time trying to sell what I made, when the real value, for my audience, wasn't in the finished product. It was in the how. The value wasn't in the object, but in the know-how. Chapter 5, The Pivot. This idea simmered in my mind all night. My audience wasn't made up of passive consumers. They were enthusiasts, just like me. They didn't necessarily want to buy my dioramas, which were unique and expensive. They wanted to learn how to make them themselves. They wanted to solve their own creator problems. Ludo's problem wasn't that he didn't have my diorama, it was that he couldn't create a realistic moss texture. I completely shifted my focus. I stopped looking at others' millions of subscribers. I started looking at my 342 subscribers, but this time, I truly saw them. I reread all the comments, all the messages I had received. And I saw dozens of questions like Ludo's. How do you do your water effects? What glue do you use for this material? Your technique for painting faces is insane. Do you have a secret? The secrets, the techniques, the how-tos. The gold mine was there, right before my eyes, all along. So, I decided to create something. Not a physical product. Something simple, direct, that addressed a specific need. And here's the most important thing. I was going to do it for them, and exclusively for them. Chapter 6, The First Digital Product. I decided not to aim too high. No complex video training with editing and a studio. I went back to basics. I took my phone and filmed, in close-up, with very clear explanations, my entire process for creating that famous moss texture. From A to Z. The materials, the mixtures, the application techniques, the mistakes to avoid. I edited it very simply, into a raw, 15-minute video. Then, I wrote a small, one-page PDF document that summarized the key steps and the exact list of materials. I put this mini pack up for sale at a very affordable price, the equivalent of a few pots of paint. I didn't have a fancy website, just a simple platform to host the file and manage payments. I then wrote a heartfelt message to my community. I explained my approach with complete transparency. I said, "You've often asked me this question, so I've created a resource to help you master this technique. It's a way for me to share more in depth and, honestly, to help me fund the next projects I share with you." I clicked publish with my heart pounding. I was afraid of being judged, of being seen as someone who just wanted their money. Chapter 7, The Revelation. The response was beyond anything I had imagined. In 24 hours, about 20 people had bought my little guide. 20 people. Out of an audience of 342. It wasn't a life-changing sum, but that wasn't the goal. This money was immediately reinvested in better quality materials. But the most incredible thing was the messages I received. "Thank you. I finally did it. This is exactly the explanation I needed. Can't wait for the next tutorial." I understood. I had found the key. Monetizing a small audience doesn't lie in advertising or sponsors, who seek mass appeal. It lies in the trust and ultra-specific value you can provide. My small size was actually my greatest strength. It allowed me to have an almost personal relationship with my community, to understand their specific problems, and to offer them tailor-made solutions. I continued with this momentum. I created other guides, on water effects, on painting faces, on creating rocky bases. Each guide was an answer to a recurring question from my community. I never aimed to have millions of subscribers. Instead, I sought to best serve the few hundred enthusiasts who were already there. My audience grew, slowly, but every new subscriber was qualified, deeply interested, because they came for the value I offered. Today, my passion completely self-funds, and sometimes even more. And it all started with a simple comment and the realization that size isn't everything. The depth of the relationship and the relevance of what you offer are infinitely more powerful. So, there's my story. If you have a small audience, never underestimate it. Don't try to be like others. Your small size is an advantage. It allows you to listen, understand, and serve your community in a way that a giant with millions of subscribers can never do. Look for the problem that only you can solve for them. Your key isn't in breadth, but in depth. Your value isn't in your subscriber count, but in the trust they place in you. Follow us for your dose of business motivation. Don't forget to subscribe.